In this video, I'm going to show you how to propagate chocolate mint by Stolons. So this is a nice big chunk that I just used a pitchfork to get out of in my sensory garden, which is a garden where everything has a scent, be it pleasant or not. Most of the stuff smells pretty good in there. This chocolate mint actually smells fantastic. It smells like York peppermint patties, which is so good. So what we're going to do here is we want to take apart this kind of hot mess here and then cut apart nodes that have sprouted already and kind of wrap a little bit of root around into a pot. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of teasing the roots apart with my fingers. This works a little bit better if it's moist or if your soil's kind of loose. If you have a lot of, if your soil is too wet and you've got a lot of clay in there, you might want to try soaking it in a bucket or a wheelbarrow to kind of tease apart the pieces, and that will probably work out better for you. And then I'm going to end up with one of these like really long pieces here that has quite a few different areas where we have both a root and a shoot. So if we want to think about making things big enough for production size so that your plant is very instant gratification and it's something that somebody wants to purchase right away, what you might want to do is kind of take a ring that has 2 or 3 of these little sections of rooting on there and some shoot growth. And we're just going to separate that from the rest of it. Clippers work really well for this. I guess you could probably use scissors if you really needed to. So we're just going to clip off this little section here. There's a little piece of like kind of extraneous stuff sticking out here. I might clip that off just so that it has a little more cohesiveness to it and it looks a little bit better. And then I'm going to put it in one of my pots. Now, stolons in general don't like to be buried very deeply because they want to send their roots down and they want to kind of have their stolon, their modified stem, be close to the surface. So I'm going to kind of just tease this up a little bit here and just kind of put this around on the surface of the plant or on the surface of the soil like this. And then I'm just going to backfill with a little bit more dirt on top of that so that it just barely covers those roots. And now I've got a plant that, you know, I'll probably want to let it heal for maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks or something like that, just so that you can bury the nodes a little bit. They'll just make more roots, and that's okay. A couple of weeks, though, so that you have enough rooting that happens inside of your container so that people feel like they didn't just purchase a plant that you just propagated. So give it some time to heal. If you can give it a little bit of warmth, that's good. One of the pests that forms on these is whitefly, so sometimes you have to keep an eye on it for that. But in general, otherwise, this is a really fantastic plant. It's kind of invasive, but you can control it by not giving it as much water. Or if you just keep it in a container and then harvest it for like tea or whatever, that's great too. Now I've got something here that has like a really, really long internode. I've got 2 little shoots here. I can totally use that if I want. And then maybe I'll just keep enough of this rhizome or this stolon here, pardon me, to just wrap around the top of that. You don't really need this internode, so you can kind of trim it right to wherever the root structure is coming out on either side. And again, I'm just going to take a pot, and I'm going to kind of take a pot, and I'm going to wrap this on the surface of the pot like that. And then I'm just going to backfill with a little bit of soil just to cover those roots. In this case, the plant looks a little asymmetrical. We might want to train that a little bit differently so that it doesn't end up like crowding one side of the pot. But it'll be fine. It'll fill in, and realistically, if you purchase something like this at the store, you could just kind of plant it on its side so that it grows in the center of whatever you're doing. All right, so that is stolon propagation. Look at that. These just come apart so nicely. I've got fantastic soil here. I'm really, really, really spoiled. Here's another just great example. Look at that. Oh boy, isn't that magnificent? I wish you guys could smell this right now. It's so good. In this case, we have this one really long stolon here, and we get to this end here, and that's kind of dead. We definitely don't want anything dead going into our pots. So we've got a decision here then. We can either turn this into two plants, where we've got this one being just the main stem and then this one being a secondary. And if you don't have a lot of plant material to work with, that's probably what I would suggest is, but you could do this as individual nodes even if it's very, very limited, something rare that you really need to preserve or ramp up production on. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of curl that around the top again. Maybe I can even loop it in so that the plant is more centrally located in this pot. And then I'm just going to backfill. This soil that I'm using right now is just regular potting soil. This one is a product that's called Super Soil. It's fairly inexpensive. It doesn't have lava rock or anything in it. Sometimes it can be a little splintery. It has a little bit of bark in there. But it works pretty well for just about everything. So not to just singly promote brands or anything, but that's one that I like to use. All right, so there you go. That's a couple. You probably don't have to stare at me doing the whole rack of these things, so I'm going to go ahead and continue propagating these. In the end, I'm probably going to do 50 just in case every single one of you wants a new plant. But we're not going to do any measurements with this particular plant. This is kind of a for your information only, just kind of demonstration video of this is how you would propagate stolons. Oh, look at that one. That's got nice. I mean, I don't know that I'd really trim this too much at all. You can see here where it started to go down into the, well, maybe you can't see that. Here's where it went down into the soil from a stem, and then it started to root along the side, and now it's coming back up on the other side. Fascinating. Thank you.